Hey there, it is Corey, the Yard Buddha, and I wanted to show you my process and how I grow my tomatoes, kind of from start to finish. It is the second week in April, and so I'm going to start conditioning these straw bales to get them ready in May to plant my tomatoes. And I like to use straw because there's no diseases in them. They're pretty sterile. Soil tends to have and keep diseases from the previous year, so that's why I like to use these. To condition them, what I'm going to do is just take some of this fertilizer, which I like to organically garden, and this is basically soybean meal. It is a 1002, so it does have a lot of nitrogen. You can use synthetic fertilizer, but I like to organically garden. So what I'm going to do is put 3 cups on each bale here right now. I'm going to water them in really well, and then in about 3 days I'll put another 3 cups on each one, water it in, and then 3 days from then do another 3 cups. So each bale is probably going to get about 9 cups on top, and that should really get the straw starting to compost and start to turn into a nice base for the tomatoes. So I'm shooting for first or second week in May to put my tomatoes in these. And with the straw, you do kind of want it to be vertical. If you can put your straw where it's going up and down, then a lot more water will get down in those tubes and it'll become more saturated, and it is easier to plant your tomatoes in there too. Okay, we're out here in the first week in May, and I'm getting ready to plant these tomatoes into my straw bales. Not the greatest weather, it's about highs of 60s, but next week's supposed to get into the 80s. And these plants are starting to outgrow their pots quite a bit, so I want to get them in the bales, and the bales are ready. If you noticed in that first video just how light yellow they were, these are now starting to get a lot darker, and that shows that they are starting to decompose from that fertilizer that was put in there. And you can usually also tell when they're ready if they start to sprout up any of the wheat seeds that were in those straw bales previously. So that kind of shows that stuff is ready to grow. So right now I'm just going to excavate some holes. There's one that I already did with my little hand rake, and I'm going to try to get these plants as deep as I can in there because they're going to get a lot more roots. So I'm probably going to plant it up to about right here, maybe 3 or 4 inches higher than it is right now, and it should start to grow roots even out of the sides as deep as that you plant it. And if you want to see the different varieties I got this year, so this is going to be a sun sugar cherry. This one I'm not going to plant quite yet. I'm going to keep it inside for another week or so just to get bigger. But that was the biggest one that I could find, and I really wanted to try a black cherry this year, which I haven't done before. My 2 kind of true and tried ones that I love are the pink Brandywine heirloom and the Cherokee Purple heirloom. These are all going to be big, nice slicing sandwich tomatoes. And these ones I haven't tried yet. This is going to be a golden Jubilee, which is kind of a yellow slicing tomato, and then a black Prince, which is going to be another darker tomato, kind of like the purple Cherokee slicing tomato. Okay, these tomatoes are in their happy home for the rest of their lives, except for the black cherry. It'll be there shortly. It's kind of easier just to use your hand to dig the hole to get those down in there, but it worked out well. You just want to make sure that the soil is kind of touching the sides of the straw bale, so don't leave any air pockets or anything in there. I did not use any extra soil. I just put whatever was in the pot down in there and then packed the extra straw around that. And I have grown these from seed in the past, and I've just learned that it's so much easier to go and buy starts. I did pay between $3 and $5 for some of these. I think the straw bales were 13 bucks, but considering the time that you save trying to grow the seed yourself, bringing the seed inside and out to try to harden, it's just so much worth your time to just go buy some starts. It is fun to grow the seed. I had a really good time doing that, and I do have some videos on that, but I just grew too many, and it's much easier to just go buy the starts. And it's also nice to have a variety of plants. I did my first year, I just grew Cherokee Purples, and I had a bad heat that year, and a lot of them didn't survive. And so it's nice to have some sort of diversity in case one does bad, the other one does better, and you don't lose your entire crop. So that's kind of why I'm trying to diversify away from just one sort of plant. So the next step is to wait until these develop a couple leaders, and I'm going to try to choose between 2 and 3 leaders and put them over onto the sides of the cage and just string them up. All right, my tomatoes have gotten a lot bigger since my last video. It's the beginning of summer, kind of the end of June, and these things have gotten huge. And what's funny is this black cherry that I got last and was the smallest is actually the tallest now. So it's a fast growing one. But just to show you my method of choosing leaders and how many I have on cherry trees, you can let a few more leaders go, a few more suckers go. I normally like to wait until the first fruit cluster kind of comes out here, and then I will leave the sucker growing from that elbow. So this was the main stem right there, and then this was the sucker, and it's now grown into 2 leaders. And I'm probably going to do another sucker on this one is right here, so I'm probably going to have a total of 4 on this whole plant, and then I will remove all the suckers after that point. Some people say that you should just have 1 leader for maximum production, but that's really hard to do unless you are vertically growing with like a string trellis system. This has worked great for me, so I've kind of done that with, this is the sun gold, so you can see this was the first fruit cluster, and then I got the second leader coming out of there, and I'm just gonna train these cherry tomatoes up there. This is the golden Jubilee, which has kind of been the slowest growing. I still haven't been able to get this one over to the side of the cage, and I want to. But they're all producing nice fruit here. That's the Black Prince here, and that's probably the second tallest. I've got the purple Cherokee back there. It's got lots of fruits on it. And I've got, I think, 2 leaders going over on the right, and then I'm going to have this one go to the left and probably do another one off of there too. So I'll have 3 or 4 basically on all of mine. And then this is the pink Brandywine. And if you watched any of my videos in the past too, you know that with heirloom tomatoes, sometimes the fruiting process can be kind of finicky. So you can either use an electric toothbrush. I actually bought, this is just a basically electric toothbrush shaped like a bee that I found on Amazon, so it's kind of cool. And you would just, with these bright new yellow flowers, can come out and it helps to pollinate them. And I've been doing that for a while and I get great results. It tends to pollinate most of all the fruits, especially if you don't have a whole lot of bees flying around your yard. And just one more thing in the summer here, I do fertilize every couple weeks, either with one of these products. I like to organically garden, so either this tomato tone, which has a lot more nitrogen in it, or kind of this simple Dr. Earth Pure Gold, which is basically fish fertilizer. That's a little lower nitrogen, but it has a lot more micronutrients, and it kind of gets in there quicker. So I do fertilize every couple weeks during the summer also. All right, it is the middle of summer, second week in July. These are my black cherry tomatoes. They are going crazy. I had to put another splice of lattice up there because I know they're gonna get 8-10 feet tall. They're starting to ripen down here. Sun golds have been doing great. They haven't grown nearly as fast as the black cherries, but I've harvested about 20 or 30 of them already. This is the golden Jubilee. Got a lot of big fruits there on the bottom. Same with the black prince. Here's the pink Brandywine, and then this is the purple Cherokee. So the heirloom tomatoes have definitely been suffering in the heat. The fruit set usually won't grow because the pollen becomes sterile above like 90 degrees. So I don't have a whole lot of fruit kind of in the middle of the tree. But this is also why you want to have multiple leaders, just to have it grow a little more slowly so you can get it through July and maybe to August and have a little better temperature and have some more of these flowers set in. I do have an umbrella that I like to set up if it gets above 90, just to give them a little more shade. All right, I just want to do one final update on these tomatoes. It is the beginning of fall, second week in September, and this is how big they got and where I kind of chopped them off at. So definitely go with the trellis system or these kind of vertical cages. Don't do a small round tomato cage. Those don't work with these indeterminate tomatoes. And you can see how much the straw bales have shrunk throughout the season. So it's used a lot of the nutrients out of there. And next year I'm just gonna take this straw and I compact it and I put it in these portable bins, bags, grow bags, and I grow my cucumbers and peppers and stuff in them, so you can actually use the straw for a couple years. The black cherries, definitely the most productive this year. Then I would go with the pink Brandywines. I'm still getting some here that are starting to ripen. Probably only have a couple weeks left. The Cherokee Purple was probably my poorest performing one this year. Just got about 5 or 6 out of there, and we have such hot summers that again the flowers just don't pollinate when it gets above 90 or so. So again, a good reason to have different varieties. The golden Jubilee was okay. The taste on it wasn't that great. The sun sugar, always great. I'll grow that again next year. And then the black prince was pretty productive this year, but again, not the best flavor on those, so I'm not sure if I'll grow those again next year. So that's how it turned out this year. Hope you guys like this project. We'll see you later.